Many families from Deal found that due to the shipping services no longer being required by Deal boatmen in the mid to late 1800s, that they could no longer afford to live properly, and they were struggling to feed their families. Smuggling, which was also another major source of income, was also starting to decline, and boatmen and their families started emigrating to New Zealand and Australia in search of a better and more rewarding life. Deal started to decline as steamships were becoming more frequent, and now most of the boatmen were relying on ships going aground on the Goodwin Sands, so they could earn money from salvaging of the cargoes of valuable teas and other goods. Piloting ships through the Channel was another source of income, but it didn't release enough work for all the boatmen, and only a few made a living from this task. Fishing was being taken up, but again it wasn't a steady income, and many of the boatmen didn't enjoy fishing, so leaving the sea or emigration was the only alternative. This is a short story of a piece of the emigration history from the 1850s, which was written in the New Zealand paper Timaru Herald during that period. On October the 6th, 1859, it is stated that the distressed state of the Deal boatmen had been subject to a public meeting which was held in the town hall. Mr. Fitzgerald, the Canterbury emigration agent, addressed this meeting and explained to the boatmen present the advantages of emigrating to New Zealand. He offered a free passage to married men willing to proceed to Canterbury in New Zealand with the prospect to establish a fishery there. Mr. R. Green, an eminent shipowner, Mr. Kingscote and Mr. A. Sandeman all severally offered to provide and send out at their sole cost one boat. Each boat would be fully equipped and would take a crew of 6 men. Also, a liberal donation towards a fund to assist the boatmen to emigrate had been contributed by Lord Dundonald and other individuals. It was decided that the services of these trained Deal boatmen, who were accustomed in boarding vessels in the roughest of weather, would be of great value to the province in New Zealand. Their skills in landing mails from steamers in weather that the present crews would not venture to launch in would be a great asset to the community. Admirably as the harbour department in New Zealand was managed at that period, there was a shortage of skilled boatmen to assist ships when required, so it frequently employed labour from the farming network, which might have been more profitably employed ashore in agriculture. Should the present steam service be continued, their boating establishment would require augmentation. They stated that should there be a market for the season's produce, the Deal boatmen would find permanent employment ashore if they required it. A copy of the Kentish Telegram of June the 28th, published in Deal, was shown as containing a paragraph reprinted from the Timaru Herald of May the 2nd, recording the death of Mr. P. Foster. The article refers to the time when, in the early 1850s, the rapid progress of steam navigation reduced many Deal boatmen to poverty, which blighted the prospects of a race of men who had, by daring exploits and acts of gallantry, made Deal and the Downs household words around the world. When Foster first launched a boat from Deal Beach, there were 500 men engaged in the same precarious occupation. These men lived in prosperous times, but with the decay of smuggling and the introduction of steam, their fortunes waned. The ships carrying mails used to anchor in the Downs off Deal, from which the Deal boatmen used to proceed to the ships and take the cargo of mail from them. These mail ships were once such a large source of income that it meant as much as £2,000 a year had been paid by the post office authorities to the Deal boatmen for services provided. But now almost all the mail was received from steamers calling at Plymouth or Southampton. The Deal boatmen's services were no longer required to take provisions out to outward bound ships, or to embark passengers that preferred joining their vessels in the Downs, compared to the tedium of an uninteresting voyage down the River Thames. To the homeward bound vessel, the boatmen had been more or ever called upon in more prosperous days to render these additional services. Many vessels made for the Downs where they anchored, as passengers generally desired to be landed at Deal. The ship's letter bags, and especially those from Sydney and the West Indies, were almost invariably transferred into Deal boats and brought on shore to Deal Beach. In rough weather, it was no uncommon circumstance for the French mails to be landed on Deal Beach. Despite of the fabulous sums expended upon it, Dover Harbour in those days gave meagre refuge to vessels under stress of weather. But sadly, these and other various sources of revenues slowly became things of the past, causing the demise of the Deal boatmen. During this period, many Deal boatmen left their homes and the shores of Deal and emigrated and settled in New Zealand, and to this day many of the families who are descendants from the old Deal boatmen still live and thrive there.